Singaporeans are obsessed with real estate, but I think it's clear that we have a special place in our hearts for condo new launches. The same scene keeps playing out, long queues and packed show flats. At work, on the news or over dinner. It seems like condo new launches are all anybody can talk about these days. But here's the thing, and let me state the obvious, condo new launches are not cheap. For example, the average per square foot prices of Emerald of Katong and Chuan Park, which launched in November, was around $2,600 per square foot. So with all these prices, why is everybody rushing to buy a new launch? Is it the allure of a brand new home? The promise of future profits? Or just brilliant marketing by the developers? I've been thinking about this for some time, and I think that deep down, owning a new launch condo is a dream that we've all been told to follow. This dream is shaped by our system, the market, and many big players. What if I told you that big parties have a role to play in this as well? So who then is driving this frenzy? And which particular aspect of our system and policies is promoting this? In fact, you can even frame it as a low-cost, high-reward investment, which makes it an even more appealing dream. You must now be thinking, how can something so expensive be considered as a low-cost investment? We'll talk about that in a bit. By the end of this video, you understand the 6 reasons and 4 key players that make new launch condos so appealing to Singaporeans. Then you can decide for yourself if you have been missing out. As a disclaimer, I've never bought a new launch condo myself. That said, Chuan Park really caught my attention. If you're curious about my property journey and what I like and did not like about Chuan Park, follow for more. So to answer why Singaporeans are also obsessed with new launch condos, I've mapped out all the players and reasons in a simple chart here, covering investors, own-stay buyers, the market sentiment, real estate developers, and even the government. Throughout the video, I'll often refer to the 3-year timeline. This is the typical timeline it takes for a new launch condo to attain its TOP and for its SSD or seller stamp duty to expire. Usually that would be when most new launch investors target to sell their unit. What I'm about to share is based on my observations and my own opinions. It is in no way any hard science at all. If you're a new launch buyer or real estate agent, I'd love to hear your perspective, so feel free to fact check me. So now let's get started. Let's dive into the more straightforward reasons first, and then we'll move on to the more controversial ones. The first reason is that own-stay buyers love new furnishings. As the name suggests, condo new launches are brand new, and this is a big appeal to own-stay buyers. You get fresh, modern finishings straight from the developer. And it's not just about what's inside your unit. Everything in a development is brand new too. From the gym to the pool, the lifts, and the lobby. Who wouldn't want to live in a sparkling new project? The second reason is that investors are hoping to turn a profit in 3 to 5 years' time. When new launch projects are sold, they are not built yet. Therefore, developers are making a guess on what the future prices will be and what current buyers are willing to pay for future units in the current market. I know it's a lot to take in, so let me explain. Before launching, the new launch condo is an entirely brand new product. Such a product does not exist in the marketplace yet. Unlike the resale market, there isn't always like-for-like data that developers can use to benchmark and to help them map the demand and the prices. Developers can conduct extensive research, but as they are only a single player in the market, they cannot perfectly predict demand and price their units with complete accuracy. So, their launch price is essentially an educated guess. But why is this a problem? This is a problem because on one hand, developers aim to price their units as high as possible to maximize their own profits. But on the other hand, they need to sell as much as possible, either due to regulatory penalties or to maintain their reputation. So, they cannot price their units too high as well. This phenomena is not limited to the real estate market. It is actually quite common in our daily lives. This can also be seen in stock market IPOs or high demand concert tickets, such as Taylor Swift or Coldplay. Market prices are usually said to be set at the intersection of the supply and demand curve. Investment banks, Ticketmaster, and real estate developers all face the same problem. Because their product is brand new, they have no visibility of the demand curve and hence can only make a guess on what the market price will be. If they price their product too high, they won't be able to sell it. If they price it too low, they risk leaving profits on the table. Investors, on the other hand, whether they understand this economics or not, are gambling on the inefficiencies of the market and looking for scenarios where new launch condos are underpriced and look to make a profit through this price gap. This is not that different from your Coldplay ticket scalpers. In all cases, they purchase more for speculation rather than for consumption, hoping to resell it at a profit. Just like the concert tickets of popular musicians, many real estate investors have made money through this method. Some new launch examples that have been profitable would be Whistler Grand and Park Esta. However, this isn't always the case. Unlike Coldplay and Taylor Swift tickets, there have also been instances such as Sky Habitat where buyers would have seen a drop in value because they could not resell their new launches at a profit right after TOP. But cases like Sky Habitat have been rare, and this has not deterred Singaporeans to queue up for their new launches in the hope of making a profit in 3 to 5 years' time. The third reason is the lower cost during the first 3 years. If you're a new launch investor, one concern that you may have is the amount of capital that you need to put in and how this may affect your cash flow. One major appeal of new launch condos is the lower cost during the construction phase. During this phase, there are no condo MCST fees. There are also no mortgage payments that need to be paid out at this time. This is an important point because new launch condos as investments are often compared to resale condos. In contrast, in the case of the resale, the investor would have to fork up a monthly installment whether or not he finds a tenant. Don't forget that in the resale example, there is also the hassle of finding and managing a tenant. And yes, when buying a resale condo for an investment, there is the potential of a rental income. But don't forget that this rental income would be subject to income tax as well, adding to your overall higher cost. The fourth reason is market hype and FOMO. Perhaps of all the reasons that I'll be sharing, this one will be the most subjective, but you can't deny that there is an element of hype in the real estate market right now. Besides the push from COVID, there are many other reasons for this market hype. But for new launches, I believe it all started with the high number of older condos going on block in the past few years. With the higher number of on blocks brings the higher number of redevelopments and show flats, and that brings the queues as well. All these coupled with the backdrop of the hike in prices after COVID, in my opinion, has caused a sense of urgency, hype and competition amongst buyers in Singapore. This has pushed more of us to jump on the bandwagon of new launch condos. In fact, the spike in prices is probably a double whammy. On one hand, it has built a FOMO mindset. On the other hand, in response to the price hikes and the shortages, our government has likely released more land via GLS or the government land sale. These land plots then end up being bought by property developers, which then ends up being sold to the public via a new launch, and then bringing more hype and marketing into the mix. This brings us nicely to our next point. The fifth reason is aggressive developer marketing. So far, we focused on things on the demand side, but now let's look at the supply side. Unlike the resale condo market where there are many uncoordinated sellers, the seller for a new launch condo is the developer themselves. These developers are a single, coordinated entity with deep pockets and can spend heavily on marketing to promote their condo new launches. More importantly, they can also offer agents a higher commission. And this higher commission would bring in more incentive to promote a condo new launch. In very general terms, a higher commission would incentivize more agents to promote a condo new launch. And because I'm not a property agent myself, this is just my understanding. So if you yourself are an agent or know more about this, please feel free to fact check me in the comment section below. But my hypothesis is, as a result, agents may be more drawn to promoting and marketing these new launch condos. This not only adds to the sales directly, but more hype and marketing and attention towards new launch condos in general. Now, before we jump to our final reason, we've only talked about why Singaporeans are obsessed with new launch condos. Like all investments, buying a new launch condo carries its own set of risk with it. What we have not talked about yet is whether this risk are worth it. For example, at such high prices today, would the new launch investor be able to sell his unit at a profit in 3 to 5 years' time? And what happens if they can't? Will they then be prepared to pay the full monthly installment? Due to all the strict regulations and cooling measures like TDSR in Singapore, I don't doubt that new launch investors are able to, but I doubt whether they are willing to. So, will they be prepared to pay the full monthly installment if they can't offload their new launch condo at a profit? I don't know. But I'll leave it unanswered for now, and maybe we can talk about this in a future video. So subscribe if you want to find out more. Now let's move on to the sixth and final reason, which has to do with our own government policies. Reason number 6 is the subsidized HDB flats and government grants. When buyers purchase a BTO or a resale flat, they benefit from significant grants and subsidies. In total, these can go up to about 100k for resale flats and even more for BTO flats. When these homeowners eventually sell their flats after the MOP, they usually walk away with significant profits, either in cash or in CPF. If they receive cash, they can use it however they like. If this comes back to them in CPF, they may reinvest it in the Singapore real estate market, and this includes things like a new launch condo, as there are not many users for the CPF OA funds besides residential property in Singapore. Of course, I'm not saying that all these would flow into the new launch market. Some of these may go towards a resale condo, yes, or other schemes like the CPF investment schemes, or even another HDB flat altogether. What I am saying is that this initial government subsidies contributes significantly to the vibrancy of Singapore's real estate market, and new launch condos are a strong beneficiary. In my opinion, this is one way that the government has been keeping the Singapore real estate market robust and keeping the Singapore real estate dream alive and kicking. If you think about it, it is one way that the government has been moving money into the pockets of everyday Singaporeans. Whether it's a good thing or not, I think it's up for debate. It is a very big topic, so let me know in the comment section if this is something that you are interested in. We've seen the hype around new launch condos, whether from news coverage, packed show flats, or your friends and family. Singaporeans are undeniably drawn to them. We've also looked at the 4 players and 6 reasons that I believe are driving this obsession. Many of these reasons are larger than us, buyers and sellers. Deep pocket developers and even our government has a role to play in this. But the bigger question remains, is the hype justified, and are you and I missing out?